going back to a bit of poetry, and I'd like to introduce Aline Talatinian with a poem called L-I-F-E. Right?
One.
Yes.
I think I'm understanding it. Hello. I'm going to read the first one in French, but the rest will be in English.
No, Armenian.
Juste après. Les draps sont froissés, les jus séchés, le lit refroidi, les membres languis. Le chant des oiseaux a remplacé les gémissements sans bruit. La respiration relaxée, les doigts déliés, le sourire aux lèvres et dans l'âme. Les désirs sont assouvis. This one's called Tea in Bed. Woke up this morning, birds chirping in my head. You turned, kissed me, then jumped out of bed. Can I bring you tea, you said. I'll bring it to you in bed. Can't you tell what I'd rather have instead? I tried to hold you back, but you slithered away. I wanted to tell you, stay, please stay. But all I heard was, tea right away? You came with the tea, pecked my cheek, and smiled at me. For a moment there, I could see my hopes turning to reality. But again, you turned away, leaving me there, bare with despair. All I got was tea in bed, not before, not after, but instead. If I said I was God, would you believe me? If I said you were God, would you believe me? If I said each and every one of us is God, part of God, that God is all and God is not God, don't you want to believe me? When I'm old and hopefully wise, through all of my life's ups and downs, defeating blows and joyful flights, I will know that the most precious thing I would have done is to have regained the freedom to be absolutely nothing other than just me. This is the one called L-I-F-E, so it's a bit weird, so I hope you get it or you like it. H2O, CO2, DNA, FSH, HCG, DHEA, R2D2, C3PO, LOL, RSVP. Petals. Petals, pretty pink petals, pitter-patter without pittance, pretty much proving that prangs of prittle probably prey to prodding prattles. Oh, that was hard to read. It doesn't make sense, so you don't have to understand it. And this is the last one. Atoms. Millions of them, in clusters, out of clusters, darting, reaching, mingling, pulsating, filling space, filling time, everywhere, all at once. It's you, it's me, the same. Thank you.
Yes? And now I would like to introduce Marlene Edelstein, who will be reading her poetry, a poem called Incognito.
Yeah, I'm not going to necessarily read the ones that are on the list.
Okay, but you spoke about reading about my mother's clitoris. So we're all. Should I help you?
Yeah, you'll have to wait till the end for that one.
We're all waiting for that.
It's a climatic kind of thing.
Yeah. It's very orgasmic. An orgasmic time. I'll read Incognito first. I'll soften you up. Let me just tell you that, in fact, I'm reading from my book of poems. There are a few left, and by some amazing coincidence, I have them in my bag. There'll be a break soon. Incognito. And those of you who are maybe not 100% young anymore will perhaps warm to this one. Incognito. In recent months, I have become another person, one I recognise, previously despised, but am starting to appreciate now. I know that tone so well, the barely contained irritation when I dither about my seat number at the library delivery counter, those angry glances from the checkout queue as I fuss over my purse and bonus card. I can read what's in their minds. Get on with it, silly old bag. And I could be more efficient. I could put myself out. But why should I? An old bag now, with Margaret Rutherford as Miss Prism for my role model. Trying the patience of the younger is a glorious new source of entertainment. Sabotaging the image they approve of as proper. Wearing Doc Martens with socks and a charity shop jacket to accompany a tasteful tailored tweed skirts and no makeup. Dyeing my hair a vulgar shade of cherry. My hair will never look smart again, so why not have it look strange? Watching the beautician, trying not to snigger when I request yet another ear piercing. This old bag, she looks back at me knowingly from public mirrors as I gambol amid urban pastures, a seductive, teasing girl incognito. The next one I'm going to read is called Cell. Not S-E-L-L, it's called cell, like prison cell, you know. It's a place where you may be locked up in solitary confinement. And the title of my book is Believe Everything, Believe Nothing. I don't write about reality, really. I don't particularly believe in reality, not 100%. But a friend of mine read this poem, or heard me read it, and she was very sorry for me, because she thought I had been in prison for some time. And I guess that's the impression that I do make on casual acquaintances. Are the cops out there waiting for me? Okay, cell. It was the most desirable cell in the block. It had ensuite facilities and a computer with a laser printer and a powerful internet connection. A room I could have enjoyed returning home to. The kind of place I could never have afforded to rent, so in a way I felt privileged. The walls and draperies were in the kind of pastel shades you don't usually notice. Yellow and mauve and grey, I think. The furniture likewise was discreet. Blonde wood in consoling curves, with that fade-out effect between languor and inertia, modulating in response to changes in the light as the days stacked into seasons and the stacks tumbled mechanically. The bed awaited my caress. It didn't meet my gaze or make demands. The chair sighed with pleasure when I lowered myself into it, and gave a muffled creak of regret when I stood up. I ate, emptied my bowels, read and exercised. the rest of the time stood at the window, beyond whose shatterproof pane walkers could be glimpsed, in pairs or families, with dogs and perambulators, kicking up the crunchy leaves of autumn, or stomping through drifts of snow or May petals, oblivious to other suffering than their own. The computer catered to my needs. I typed in what I wanted, and a little later there was a whir as it materialised at the hatch. Toast, teddy bears, cups of tea, socks, soap, an eiderdown, champagne and chocolate, Prozac and plasticine. Everything functioned optimally. Each year on my birthday, the link to a movie popped up on the screen. Wild Strawberries, The Wizard of Oz, The Bride of Frankenstein, Singing in the Rain, The Loneliness of the Long-Distance Runner. Though I was never lonely, with the hum of the refrigerator and the hydraulic swirl, the hushed climate control system. After the blinds shut for sleep, a tinny lullaby wafted from somewhere. Okay, another one would come for my mother's clitoris. In fact, my mother died not all that long ago. You know, I got into my 60s and I still had a mother. And we didn't have a great relationship, I must say, but losing your mother is always a landmark in your life. And I wrote a rather sombre poem called Old December after she died. But then I thought, I'm going to vindicate my mother's womanhood. After all, she wasn't just a mother, she was also a woman, and maybe we don't give our mothers credit for that. So I wrote a poem called My Mother's Clitoris, and it really grew on me, actually. I became... yeah, I don't mean that literally. I've got my own. My mother's clitoris. My mother knew the word clitoris, though she'd swear she didn't. They weren't exactly on speaking terms. It would jump at her, growling through its teeth as she turned the page. It sucked cohesion out of the narrative, like a black hole annihilating matter. The word had such power. But what of the reality? Never an explorer, she summoned the courage to go in search of it. On the first day out, she forded the navel, but retreated to camp for the night, hearing drums beating in the forest. She hardly slept a wink, bewildered with excitement and apprehension, unnerved by her own daring. Mentally she rehearsed paddling through marshy terrain, hacking her way through dense, slippery undergrowth, and swallowed by a quagmire, never to reappear in her accustomed shape. But in truth, she glided through the journey in a gentle dream, and the things she sought swelled before her like Jonah's gourd, encasing her without imprisoning. She was set free, like the minute water drops shooting in all directions when a bubble bursts, leaving only a glittering memory and a faint sense of dampness. Thank you. As I say, if you want to revise your experience, the book is for sale.
Marlene. We now have Melissa, and I don't know your...
Oh, it's adorable. That's fine.
Melissa, your last name? Sorry.
Elliott. Melissa Elliott.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
Well,
I'll do the stuff. Look, I can't have a drunk cameraman, honestly. Yes, you can just point. Just point. I'll move to find you. Hope you don't mind. I'm going to move this. It's dark and so am I, so I need to. Maybe that's...
Now you're in the spotlight?
Can you see me?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Well, I also need to see what I've got in the book.
Are you doing that one?
You can't make someone else work. I mean, do
I'm looking at you right at you, darling.
You're killing me.
You look
Honestly.
fabulous. Just absolutely full.
I don't care how
Is
I
there a
look. I
zoom
just
on?
want to make sure I can see. A zoom? The button where the red is, the top, and then the bottom, the square. Just tap the top and then tap the bottom to move back out. And there's a yellow tab on the side that'll let you know. Don't fall asleep. Good evening, everyone. I have a collection of poems that I'm publishing soon on my own. Can't be bothered to go through the rejection repeatedly, so I'm just going to do it for myself. But the themes are love, death, and travel. Heavy on the death. Kind of like the Doors, but minus the doors and music. But the first poem is called Amazon, and I think it would be, if a stay-at-home man had his perfect fantasy, this would be his woman. Right. Amazon stands tall before me, silent, composed, stunning. Her skin smells of victory. I stare at her in awe and wonder what she's planned for me. Her cold grey eyes say, "You will submit to my will." I am, as ever, inclined to agree. I will always follow Amazon's lead. Her strength bewitches me. Smiling inside, I rise to meet her. Amazon is perfect, all mine, and also my wife. Okay, I caught pneumonia in the 2 weeks before Christmas of 2006, which was very unpleasant, to say the least. I'm a foodie and I like to eat, and I was ill by mouth, so it was hell. But I got lots of time to write. This one's called The Drip.
Wait. Should I press it? Nah.
The other warders wail in the night, but I remain paralyzingly quiet. Emotionally and physically bedridden, I allow them to carry on their geriatric riot. For the attention of the inattentive nurses, they issue forth a string of curses, but not me. I wish to heal in quiet, all alone, until I am well enough to go home. This draconian Victorian labyrinth could have been a workhouse. One knows the story all too well. One misery in exchange for another, for each man must taste hell. I have tasted hell. It's the only food to have passed these lips in the last 2 weeks. Yet, I still hunger for more pleasant things to eat. I look out of the window for father and mother to come for me, but I know they won't come. At all. Not anymore. At present, the only joy I have here is requesting and receiving more morphine. Okay, this one here, it's about the family dynamic and how it manifests itself in normal things, like activities like chess games. This one's called Quid Agam, so if you know any Latin, backtrack. This match has gone on long enough. My knights are both gone. You've taken my pawns. I've got food on the brain again, sorry. Thinking about dinner. And not even left me a rook. You're playing quite meanly. This used to be fun. The swift defeats I endured as a novice were great sport for me, securing piece after piece with the clumsy sagacity of a child eager to please, once put me at ease. Now, in the name of your queen, I can't move an inch without you shadowing me. My bishops are no longer heeding my cries because you've acquired them for your side. An old king, desperate for peace, but willing to sacrifice his kingdom for one iniquitous queen. Old king, I've come for your kingdom. You may have my pieces, but I'll not be beaten. Right, one more. Here comes the death and the love all at once. It's called Gossamer Shade. He comes through the window on the midnight wind, leaving feathery felicitations on my lips and skin. How can such cold kisses create fire on the skin? I always smell him before I see him. The scent of fresh earth floats on the air. The trees rustle and whisper. Creatures creep through the grass outdoors, announcing his arrival. I wait for those lips that I love to taste, softer than any silk, colder than any grave. He arrives, earnestly whispering the wisdom of the ages, offering me the only thing I need, companionship. His flesh I cannot hold, his voice I never hear, but his lips I always feel. The moon aids my cause. She sends beams to light his chestnut hair as he fades like the remains of a lucid dream. It is a passion born of the night, a kiss from the dead to the dying.
Nice.
Did you guys press record?
You meant to do it. It was recording.
Thanks, Melissa. Now we're...
It was recording.
Okay, our last performance before our break is Helene, Jørgensen. And I'd just like to say, before she comes on, that we're going to have a half an hour break, and there are cocktails and
Cocktails.
not cocktails. No, there's gin and tonic. I think
Okay.
kinds of drinks that we serve, and
Also known as dinner.
and beer and peanuts and things like that. And then the next set we also have some very exciting performances and a special surprise performance. So it's wise for everyone to stay and enjoy the evening. Okay?
Ja, hej, jeg hedder Helene Jørgensen. Jeg har skrevet en potpourri over Whitney Houstons titler. Og det starter sådan den her. Jeg lærte fra de bedste, at der ikke findes andet end kærlighed. Jeg er din baby i nat. Jeg har ingenting. Jeg ønsker at være nattens dronning. Mit hjerte kalder. Min kærlighed er din kærlighed. Du lyser mit liv op. Det er intet andet end kærlighed. Sig nej til mig. Det er ikke rigtigt, men okay. Ja, min kærlighed. Du var aldrig stå alene. Jeg var skabt til at elske dig. Hvis bare jeg fortalte dig det. Det er The Heartbreak Hotel. Når du tror på det. Hvis jeg fortalte dig det, får jeg det tilbage. Kunne jeg bare have det her kys for evigt? Hvorfor gør det så ondt? Sig nu nej til mig. En af disse dage, indtil du kommer tilbage. Når du tror, jeg er en hvilken som helst kvinde, så skal du vide, at jeg vil altid elske dig. Elsk den mand. Hvem kunne forestille sig en konge Jeg ser på dig, som om jeg aldrig forlader dig, indtil du kommer tilbage. Fordi jeg har lært for det bedste, at der findes ikke andet end kærlighed. Og så var jeg på en tur sammen med min kæreste i Oslo her for en lille måneds tid siden. Og der stod jeg på en cocktailbar, og så skrev jeg et lille digt. Sommertiden træder uventet ind. Solen skinner, og folk vrimler ud på gaderne for at nyde årets første forårssol, der bebuder forgangne år som forliste. Vi er på kærlighedscruise. I kroppenes kahyt spiller vi kærlighedsspil. Vi sidder på dækket, og blæsten blæser håret ud som et vindspil. Solen i dine øjne minder mig om solnedgangens sprængte spor i horisonten. Vi krydser landegrænser med havkig og blik for hinanden. Vi forliste på sikker grund, der vugger os i søvn. Og så vil jeg til sidst lige læse et, som jeg har skrevet i dag, der hedder Stemmer, der runger. Stemmer, der runger. Noget er på spil. Vi snakker om livet. Sammen er vi på vej væk fra det hinsides. Alt synes umiddelbart og alligevel smertefuldt. Sådan som vi ser hinanden i øjnene, får vi smilet i det indre til at lysne. Vi snakker ikke kun. Vi kommunikerer med kroppene. Vi danser på tidens strøm. Vi spiller et spil i en enkelt tidslomme. Vi danser tæt på minder af skum. Vi skaber øjeblikke af vores stemmers lyd mod hinanden. Sådan bliver det første ord til det sidste, og det sidste til det første. Vi glider langsomt ud af livets smerte og ind i et øjeblik af lykke.